Okay, so we're going to start this off with a quick show of hands. And our question is, how many people died on European roads in 2015? So, can everyone who thinks less than 8,000 people died on European roads raise their hand? Okay. And who thinks less than 16,000 people died on European roads in 2015? And who thinks less than 20,000 people died on European roads in 2015? Okay, well that figure is actually 26,100 people, which is approximately the population of Ennis. A contributing factor to these high figures is emergency response times, which can be seen here in Ireland. The manpower needed for emergency response efforts is often high, resulting in slow response times and the need for additional backup support. An emergency call is classified as an echo call if it is a life-threatening cardiac or respiratory case, or it's classified as a delta call if it is any other life-threatening condition. In Ireland, the target response time for an echo case is 8 minutes, and for a delta, 19 minutes. However, this is not always the case, particularly in rural Ireland. There are areas, particularly in Galway and Mayo, as seen by the dark orange on our map, that it may take over 25 minutes for an ambulance to respond to a call. For a round trip back to a hospital, that's over an hour. Lightfoot Solutions UK carried out a report on the emergency services here in Ireland. They found a large gap between the current performance and our current targets. The current target for the 8-minute standard is a target of 80%, and for the Delta 19-minute, 95%. However, currently, we are reaching 26.6%, and for the 19-minute standard, 67.2%. This means for an echo call, only 1 in 4 patients are being reached within 8 minutes. We are Team Althea, and we are here to present to you a design that can help reach these targets. Althea is an autonomous vehicle that will enable advanced medical care through the use of telesurgery. Our name, Team Althea, comes from the Greek name Althea in mythology, which means one who brings healing. Our design has 3 key features: an expanding chamber at the rear, which enables virtual reality telesurgery, and optimum positioning program. Currently, when an emergency call is placed, an ambulance will drive to the patient. The patient is then loaded up into the back of an ambulance and driven back to the hospital, which means this could take up to an hour. However, with Althea placed in the optimum position, it may take only 15 minutes to reach the patient. The patient can then be placed into the back of Althea and operated on through the use of telesurgery. This means the surgery can take place from many miles away with the surgeon in a hospital, and this will reduce the time between the incident and the patient receiving surgery. Over the course of the year, we have worked developing our concept and our prototype, and this is our progress.
Introducing Team Althea. We are a team of 6 engineering with management students in Trinity College, Dublin. Our team was assigned the brief to design an autonomous vehicle that would help improve the efficiency of emergency response operations. Beginning our research, we discovered that the aim for emergency services in Ireland is to have an ambulance response time of 8 minutes. However, currently, an ambulance will only reach 1 in 4 life-threatening cases.
Althea is the world's first autonomous operating theatre, enabling advanced medical care through the use of telesurgery. There are 3 unique aspects to our design. The expanding chamber at the rear provides the space for telesurgery, while the vehicle is also compact for transport on the roads. Enabling telesurgery through the use of virtual reality will save time, as patients can be treated at the scene instead of having to be transported back to the hospital. The algorithm developed for the concept will allow Althea to be in the optimum position, which will also cut the time taken to reach the patient.
The first step was to create a prototype of our concept. This phase began by using computer-aided design software, or CAD, to create a physical design for the prototype. The design was altered and analysed as the complex individual components were brought into the final assembly. The first stage was producing our lower chassis on the CNC machine, while the majority of the components for our prototype were printed at the Billet-based student-led 3D printing facility. The Ultimaker 2 was used to print the shell and housing, sensor holders and our steering system. This enabled rapid prototyping as problems could easily be solved as they arose and adjustments were made quickly.
The prototype uses 3 ultrasonic sensors positioned around the front of the vehicle to obtain an awareness of its surroundings as it drives. The controller is programmed to allow the prototype to drive without human input, using the data collected from the sensor components, making it fully autonomous. By processing the data from the sensors, the steering and drive controls automatically adjust to prevent collision.
The most important stage of prototyping was testing. Along with our own testing, as we developed the code, our prototype was put through a number of standard tests. The prototype steering mechanism was tested. The ability of the prototype to climb slopes of different angles was examined. And the driving and obstacle avoidance ability of the prototype was put to the test with various different courses.
The next stage for our concept is upscaling our designs to a full-scale vehicle. Our prototype was a simple replication of the full-scale vehicle. As so, there were some limits to our prototype. Althea is a design we look forward to developing as we feel it will have a lot of benefits for the emergency services. By saving time, we will be saving lives.
Okay, so Emily went through the concept, and now it's time to start the prototyping stage. So before we went into prototyping, we asked ourselves this question: how could we capture our concept in the physical form? So we targeted 3 key things that we wanted to introduce into our prototype. The first was that we wanted to have a functioning autonomous vehicle. So an autonomous vehicle, or a self-driving car, as many people know it as, is a vehicle which can sense its environment and navigate its surroundings without human input. Secondly, we wanted to have an operating theatre on wheels. And thirdly, spend a bit of time on that slide there. So thirdly, we want to focus on the aesthetics of the vehicle. So, in other words, we just want to make it look cool, really. So we had 3 goals, and it was time to begin the prototyping stage. So where did we begin? So we had basic electronic and robotic experience before this project, but nothing really to this scale. So we did some research. So we identified some key components that an autonomous vehicle would require. So these are things like sensors, microcontrollers, batteries, motors, and servo motors. We use computer-aided design for the first step in most of our design processes. We use the software SolidWorks, and then we could begin the design. So first up was the chassis. So once we designed the chassis, once we designed the chassis and we were happy with the design, we moved on to a CNC router where we machined our chassis out of a plastic acrylic sheet. So it was time to move on to the assembly. So apart from the electronic components and the chassis, most of our parts were 3D printed. So 3D printing is a form of rapid prototyping, a new form of rapid prototyping, which allows us to make parts quickly and easily. So for example, our steering system, the entirety of our steering system was 3D printed. So we went through a few iterations of our steering system just to get certain things like the dimensions and tolerances right. And that's kind of where you see the beauty of 3D printing and how fast you can go through these different iterations. We mounted ultrasonic sensors onto the front of our vehicle. And ultrasonic sensors, they emit and receive sound waves to read distances. So the output from the ultrasonic sensors was fed back to the microcontroller at the back of the vehicle, where there was code written that governed the behavior of the vehicle. And then finally, we achieved the first of our 3 goals. We had a functioning autonomous vehicle. So next up was that we want to incorporate an operating theatre into the vehicle. So regulations dictate that an operating theatre must have a minimum area of 14 square meters. So that was a vehicle with a housing this size would not be road legal. It just wouldn't be safe. So we had a challenge. So rather than think outside the box, we just made the box bigger. So we went to SolidWorks and we made a design. And once we had a design, we manufactured the parts using 3D printing once again. And we managed to get the expanding compartment by using a servo motor. We just converted the rotational motion of the servo using linkages, a combination of linkages and tracks running along the upper chassis. So that was 2 of our 3 aims that we set out at the start of the process done, and I was just trying to shift our focus from the function of the vehicle to the form. How did it look? The aesthetics. So once again, like the rest of the aims, we started with SolidWorks, and we had a design for the kind of the shell of our vehicle. So once we were happy with the design, we again moved on to 3D printing. So we printed the back shell. That's the black piece on the left there, and then we printed the front compartment. So that front compartment is actually quite big, and it took 2 parts to print because of the size of it, and it took about 44 hours to print. And over the entirety of the project, we did well over 100 hours of 3D printing. And so we assembled the vehicle, and then we just did some finishing, and finally we added the Team Althea logo, sirens and headlights, and we had our first finished prototype. I'm just going to pass you on to Adam now, who's going to talk about our algorithm.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. So having worked on the prototype, we decided to take a step back, look at the overarching concept. Primarily, how can we reduce the strain in the emergency services? Having gone and worked on all this technology, how can we ensure that it's implemented successfully? So here we'll take a look at the current system. So here is an example of a town in the west of Ireland. We can see 3 towns in the west of Ireland. We can see that they're serviced by this hospital. So let's say, for example, the population in this area was to increase. In an ideal world, the resources within that hospital would increase. However, they would remain localized within the hospital. So let's rethink this convention. And we need to ask ourselves, what do we know about this area? And then given what we know, how can we be preemptive rather than reactive in order to decrease response times? So the way the algorithm works is it first encloses this area in order to simplify where our vehicle will need to position itself. It uses heuristics such as population, the number of incidents in the previous year, the number of people over 65, and the number of deaths in the previous year. The algorithm then computes an optimal position between each pairs of towns. So you might ask, where is it actually going to be stationed? So the way the algorithm works is it takes these individual optimal positions and connects them with the town not included in that iteration, and basically creates a very small triangle of optimal position. This is the computed optimal position. So our vehicle will automatically position itself there and automatically compute that position for the region it's allocated. You might ask, is this actually any better than the current system? And it is for many reasons. First of all, with decreased response times. It will centralize human staff where they're most effective. It'll increase beds in hospitals. It'll decrease the strain on response services. It's a future-proof solution for areas with low medical resources, and it'll remove the need for low-budget hospitals. I'll just hand you over to Rob to finish it.
Okay, so what makes us different? Apart from the 3 unique aspects that Emily mentioned in the concept phase, we looked around and we found that we were the world's first autonomous mobile operating theatre. There's nothing else out there that's like us. So, what's next? So, it's reported that there are 9 trauma centres in rural Ireland set to be closed and centralised to one location. This means that this means patients who are in need of emergency care have a longer distance to travel to this emergency centre. So this is not just a local problem though, this is a global problem, and we're thinking globally. Rural areas and third world countries around the world we feel that can benefit from our product and our system, and with more time, more resources, we feel that we can develop a product that can save millions of lives around the world. So finally, I'd just like you to, if you'd like to see our progress up to date, have a look at our social media platforms, and if you'd like to ask any questions or test out our algorithm, you can talk to us outside. And finally, I'd like to invite the rest of our team up onto the stage, and thank you very much for listening to our presentation.
Super, well done guys. It's a great presentation. Hope to never see your product on the road. So that's great. So, judges, questions? Aki?
Maybe I just missed something, but say I fall in the shower, break my leg, can't get up. How do I get into the ambulance?
Well, so it's a 911. So if that was to happen, it'd be a 911 call.
Yeah.
So it's just the same process as you calling 911. It's just so that happens to you. You ring 911, yeah, and then the ambulance be sent out. So I know the question. I know what you mean. Sorry. So the operator would then decide
if this is like an echo or a deco or delta call, and then that would happen. So in your case, it wouldn't be
So if I had an issue with my appendix, I could get myself in the back of that and they can operate on me on the way there.
Yeah, effectively. Well, it's actually it's not going to be operation on the move. I think that's a bit dodgy. But like, so it'll set up your house, and then it'll expand obviously in your house, and then the surgery could be performed there on site. So that's where the time is being saved, rather than the journey over and back.
In the case of a broken leg, there will be a medical professional in the back to assist to get in.
What's the width of the front cab of the ambulance, and is it wider than?
Yeah, I know. That's definitely something that was kind of an oversight on my part, to be honest with you. Just a lot of kind of rushing at the end to get the prototype done, and that's. Okay. I know you're perfectly right saying that.
Just thinking about it, navigating rural roads.
Yeah. Oh, as in the upper scale. Well, it wouldn't be any bigger than we had normal amps you see now.
So it would be to spec of the same.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Great presentation.
No, thanks.
Super. Okay, maybe time to Team Althea again. So we have our final presentation. After our final presentation, we're going to have an audience vote as well. So be thinking about what teams that you've enjoyed most, I think are the best ideas. So maybe welcome to the stage, Team AMP.